Much is still unknown about the al-Shabaab militants who carried out the Westgate Mall attack last week, but there has been speculation about foreigners amongst the group, and at least one from an unlikely place, the American heartland. But as CCTV's Jim Spellman found out, Somali expatriates in the United States and Europe have been wary about the threat of al-Shabaab for some time.
In the U.S. city of Minneapolis, far from the Horn of Africa where Somali terrorist group al-Shabaab fights their so-called jihad, another battle is underway. Centered around these apartment towers in a neighborhood known as Little Mogadishu, this battle is for the hearts and minds of young Somali Americans. Is this a real phenomenon? Are young men really being recruited to al-Shabaab here in Minneapolis?
It's a very old phenomenon. It's been happening since 2006.
Abdirazak Bihi is a Somali activist in Minneapolis, where roughly 30 to 40 young men have left this city in the American heartland to fight and often die for al-Shabaab.
Nobody could speak out until it happened to my nephew. In 2008, him and several others were taken out of the country.
His nephew, Burhan Hassan, died in 2009 while fighting with al-Shabaab. Bihi and a group of his fellow Somalis began searching for answers. The young Somalis usually come from homes without a father and are facing challenges at school or can't find a job. They feel isolated from American culture, and al-Shabaab takes advantage of that.
The recruiters giving them that, they fill that void, important void, and become their father's figure. And they believe that they gave them everything they needed. They gave them that ego, that manhood. They basically raised it with us.
Kyle Lovin is an FBI special agent. How does this process work? How are these young men being radicalized?
Well, they're being radicalized through a number of different ways. Some of the most prevalent, unfortunately, involve the internet.
Where a series of videos featuring young men from Minneapolis have surfaced, aiming to recruit more fighters.
This is the story of the Minnesotan martyrs.
The videos juxtapose scenes of battle with shots of the streets of Minneapolis and the same apartments where much of the Somali community lives. Like any film, the main attractions are the stars.
Support the jihad in any way that you can.
Mohammed Hassan left Minneapolis in 2008, a year after graduating from Roosevelt High School. His wide smile is prevalent throughout the video. The system of recruitment was so strong in Minneapolis that at least one non-Somali, Troy Castigar, fell in with them and joined al-Shabaab.
If you guys only knew how much fun we have over here, this is the real Disneyland. You need to come here and join us and take pleasure in this fun. We walk amongst the lions.
Both died in battle in 2009, but on video they live on, recruiting others to fight jihad. Bob Fletcher is a former sheriff who works in the Somali community. He says videos like these are powerful, and having Americans as stars makes them more persuasive.
They're proud to have Americans because it helps their marketing in the future. It perpetuates itself.
Amongst the young Somalis here, there's been a backlash against al-Shabaab and a realization that if they want to stop their friends and family from going overseas to fight, they need to fight back. Mohammed Farah is the executive director of Kajug, an outreach group that works with young Somali Americans, especially those struggling for identity and a sense of belonging.
They have gaps in their lives, whether it's a job, whether it is lack of mentorship. And so what al-Shabaab is doing is basically justify that through religion. And so, we all want to get close to our faith, and so they're getting these kids in their worst, time of their life.
They track Somali kids from high school on. If a student starts skipping class, the school calls the parents, then calls Kajug.
So what we do is find what kids are missing and fill that before others like Shabaab comes in and do that for them.
Fill it with poetry.
And old age is unnoticed, the youth unfocused. Al-Shabaab trying to tell you they'll bring change, but only if you hold this.
And art. The hope is that these messages are more attractive to young Somalis than al-Shabaab.
You can use art to send messages, but your emotions, how you feel, if you want to send a message out, whether it's positive, whatever it is.
These young people may be the best hope of stopping al-Shabaab recruitment. Older Somalis are often afraid of reprisals against families back in Somalia or of getting caught in law enforcement investigations. But Kajug partners with law enforcement.
We need to have the engagement of the community. We need to have buy-in. We need to have trust within the community. And that's something that we hope to establish through working with groups like Kajug and others within the Somali community.
But I'm holding peace in one hand and freedom on the other.
The activists say they need more resources to fight al-Shabaab's message, but their efforts seem to be working. Law enforcement sources say al-Shabaab recruitment here in Minneapolis has waned in recent years, and the hope is that trend will continue and the flow of fighters overseas will come to a halt. Jim Spellman, CCTV, Minneapolis.